All right, guys, so we got a full epic team, full auto. I'll just pause it so I could show you guys the first form of the Ram during the second rotation. So we already went through one rotation. The Ram just wrecked me, which, in case you don't know, the dual effect is targeted to the champion with the lowest crit damage on the team. In other words, don't make your res champion, your reviver, in this case Rector Drath, the lowest crit damage champion on the team. Because if they're your only reviver, they're going to die basically every time. It's very difficult to survive that dual effect or that punching effect that the Ram does. Now, there are some champions that can survive it very well. Champions with like unkillable when they're about to be killed, maybe Leoris, though I don't know why you'd make him your lowest crit damage, but Skathix can actually survive it very well. So if you do want to survive it, there's champion options that you can use, but typically I like to have a champion like Deacon, just lowest crit damage, just let him die, duel drops off, I can do full damage, not a problem, and then Rector Drath can just pick him up. Now this team may or may not reach the 1 key this time. So we're at almost 20 million with 40 turns, we got 20 turns left. We do the most damage on the Ultimate form, the Lion form, and the Viper form is a little bit sketchy. The Viper form is just kind of a pain. If you don't have a very consistent uptime on block debuffs, and also ideally protected, the Viper form is a massive headache. But, well, as far as like just killing your team, because what happens is your champion, if you have a single target res champion like Rector Drath in this case, she's going to have her first res denied. And since it's a fairly long cooldown, it's going to take a while to actually get back around and get your champions back up and into the fight. But if you have a champion like a Duchess or a, who else is a full team res? I can't even think of anybody. A Pythion. Those champions who bring a block debuff is going to be fantastic because they're going to be able to pick up the entire team, only have one champion deny with the res, and then place a block debuff so the Viper doesn't just load up the poisons and destroy your team. So champions like that are going to be fantastic, but this is just an epic-only team, and it's functioning pretty well, honestly. We have a lot of the criteria met, though finishing trials when you're this low is going to be pretty difficult because a lot of the trials have damage requirements, but they specify damage from max HP skills don't count. So champions like Geomancer, champions like Husk, Royal Guard, Coldheart even, Newt, Marius, these champions aren't going to contribute to these abilities. So if you're trying to do Chimera, honestly, it's probably most worth it to just go for the damage, try to get your 1 key chest, be done with it. Trying to stack up a ton of trials for the multipliers probably is going to end up making it more difficult for you, but it is important to try to address the different effects of the Chimera as you go through. So the Lion form, honestly, this is probably the easiest form. The True Fear, if you have a block debuff for the other forms, you're going to be good. Not a huge deal. The damage, as long as your res champion's not dying, you're going to be fine. This is probably, in my opinion, well, definitely in my opinion, but probably in other people's opinion too, the easiest form, with the Ultimate form being possibly the only one that I would say is easier. So Ultimate form or Lion form are the easiest. The next two, the Ram form is the hardest to do damage to, and the Viper form is the most difficult if you're not prepared to actually survive through. And you're going to see that possibly in a few moments. I'm really hoping I don't die. I tried to do this video earlier. I ended at 33 million damage, and the Viper form killed me at the very end. So right now, we have one more turn of the Viper form, and then I guess we have another Ultimate, and then possibly a Ram. I forget. But 1 key for this is going to be 36 million. We're going to come super, super close, but this team without a doubt could do the 1 key. And here I'm using Phoenix, however you say his name, instead of like a Husk or Royal Guard. He was just doing more for me, honestly. His A1 ability, doing a double hit when they have debuffs, plus the fact that he brings a block buffs as well as a block active skill potentially for the Viper form, is extremely helpful. He also brings a decreased speed, which I have turned off on most forms because Skathix places it. Though here, having that decreased speed up actually be very important. Oh, was that it? I think that was a skill that does a decreased speed. Maybe I actually don't have it turned off, which would be ideal because it's a really good skill. So in this team, we have Deacon for increased turn meter plus Leech. Leech is so good. Honestly, it's very good against the Ram form as well. Though if your champions are doing like crazy high damage, you're just going to get wrecked by the Ram form anyways. But Leech does kind of even it out. If you have like a Phoenix who's not doing a ton of damage, doing a decent amount, but he kind of evens it out. So here we go. We steal that from the Viper form. We're actually making it through pretty decent. If we have a cleanse from Skathix, we are golden. So as long as we get a block debuff up, actually very soon, like right about now would be the perfect time to get that going. For some reason, my Geomancer keeps getting resisted with his ability there. We really need that cleanse. It's no cleanse yet. This is by far the most sketchy of the bosses. Maybe he can boost some turn meter. Okay, we're good. We should be good. Yeah, so we're solid. We can make it at least through the entire Chimera run. For some reason, Geomancer is consistently just not landing the HP burn on this boss. I don't know if this form has more resistance than the other forms, but I don't think I've landed the HP burn a single time ever versus... Okay, well, I guess I'm wrong. I guess he just keeps getting resisted. I know previously the Viper was under block buffs, or block debuffs, so of course I wasn't going to be able to apply it then. Here, we should be okay. Geo may die. He doesn't die, actually. So now we're going to try to squeeze out 6 million damage in 5 turns. Is it going to happen? No. Can this team 1 key? Without a doubt. 36 million is the 1 key. The previous run that I did, I was at 33 million when going into the Viper form. So we may have been able to squeeze out the few extra million. But this is just something that I can share with you guys that's going to give you a base to form your team around. Do I think this is the best team that you could make? No. If you have these champions, you may have other champions as well where you can make a bit better teams. But this is just the bones of, well, a little bit of RNG, honestly. A little bit of RNG, super, super close to that 1 key damage for Brutal Chimera. I think it's going to be something excellent for a lot of players to work off of. And I'll jump in here and explain all the champion breakdowns and why each champion is the way they are. So 31.4 million damage. We have Phoenix doing 8.3 million. Geomancer doing 15 million. Skathix with 2. All the supports have War Master for a little bit extra damage. I don't love having the 31 million, but with a little bit better RNG, with a little bit different gearing, or different champions slotted in. If you have a Newt, boom, easy. You throw Newt in place of Phoenix, you got a 1 key team. So it's just about swapping teams out and swapping champions out, and you're going to have a solid setup. So what we had in this team was, actually, let's go to the champions here. I'll show you the stats, and then we can show the gear from a different spot in just a moment. So what we have here is we have Phoenix for the extra hits from the A1 ability because they have a debuff on them. We have the block buffs and possible block active skills, the decreased speed and decreased defense, very important for all forms. The decreased speed is a little bit duplicated with Skathix, as well as the decreased defense duplicated with Deacon. But Deacon is here for the leech, as well as the increased turn meter, getting us around through our turns even faster. I would love an increased speed champion, and maybe if you had an arbiter could probably even be decent in here. You can mix up the champions, but heals, leeches, increased turn meter, more turns you take, the better it's going to be. I didn't want to gear these champions out in relentless or like crazy sets typically. So the damage dealers hopefully have pretty reasonable stuff. Phoenix gear, his stuff may be a little bit higher end, but we are missing an increased attack champion. So this is Deacon, 1, 2, 3, the same presets every form. Rector Drath is here for a res, as well as a perfect veil and continuous heal. Just a support champion. If you have a Duchess, easy massive upgrade. If you have a Siphi, easy upgrade as well. Really, any support champion with a res is going to be a potential upgrade to Rector Drath. You can swap it in, no problem. That's what she's here for, is this skill plus a res. A champion with a cleanse plus this res would be great. An Elva would be so good. Phoenix, he is here for what I already said. The block buffs, very helpful. The decreased speed and the extra hits. Geomancer, everybody knows he's here for the HP burn, the reflected damage, as well as the strip, the steal, the A2. This is going to steal the increased speed buff from the ultimate form. It's going to steal any buffs from the Viper form. It's going to steal any buffs that just come up throughout the run. He has a chance to steal them, which is very helpful. But other than that, it's a pretty simple setup. Might as well have, actually no, the Lion and Ram form I don't think have any buffs really. Skathix is here for the decreased speed on the A1, very helpful. The A2 has a chance of stealing 1 random buff. So we have 2 champions who can steal buffs, getting that increased speed off of the Lion form as quickly as possible. And then we have the A3, which is going to remove all debuffs from all allies, then places a block debuffs and shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The shield buff is equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. So more HP for him, it's going to be better. I didn't stack that much HP on him. Maybe it's something you could do, but I didn't want this to be just maxing my gear out and throwing it on epics and putting them into the content. It is a +3 Phoenix. It's a +2 Deacon. but I really just want to showcase the bones of the team, and then you can go from there with it. Now, Skathix is somebody who you could consider having lowest crit damage on because he places block damage on this champion for 1 turn whenever their HP drops below 30%. So against the Ram, he will be able to survive that. And if you want the dual effect to stay up, it's actually decent with Geomancer because you won't be able to do enough damage to kill your other champions because dual is going to make everybody else do less damage, but Geomancer's burns are still going to go through and everything's going to be fine there. So you could do that if you wanted to. It just really depends on what you have and what you plan to do. Now, you don't want your Revive champion, to be lowest crit damage at all. My situation, I have Deacon as the lowest crit damage, just how it worked out. Now, as far as our sets, we have Deacon. I left some gear off of him just because I wanted to showcase it more realistically. We have War Master. The masteries probably aren't perfect, but it's just an idea on what I'm working with. Phoenix is the champion who I'd say probably has the better gear in the account, or as far as this showcase goes. We have lethal plus speed. We have 2 pieces of revenge. Really, if you could fit revenge anywhere, maybe a 2-piece retaliation, counterattack masteries, it's going to let you squeeze out a little bit extra War Master throughout the fight, just like a clan boss. Think of Chimera a lot like clan boss. Any extra counterattacks is going to help you move through it. Now, with that fight, we weren't worried too much about the trials. We did get a 1 multiplier, but if you can't even get the top chest very easily, I wouldn't stress too much about the trials just yet, in my opinion. Now, you still want to get as much points as you can, but focus on getting the damage is probably going to be the most reasonable way to approach it. And this is still going to give you some rewards, not the most crazy rewards, but you're going to get something from it. Now, up next, we have Rector Drath. So Rector Drath is just an immortal and speed set. If you threw her in a relentless set with high HP, similar speed, she's going to be doing much better. Honestly, there's so many ways you could take her build to make her do so much better. But I did throw a crit damage necklace on her to make her a little bit higher in crit damage. She has a regular accuracy banner with some basic speed just to place this decreased attack. Decreased attack is helpful. So if I can get it, hey, going for it. And then we have Geomancer. Geomancer, I did not use the +2 one because I just didn't want to throw that one in there. I did have to bump his HP up a little bit because where he was dying pretty often to the Viper form. This is a little bit better. He's low speed compared to what I could run. I think closer to 300 accuracy would be better, but this is pretty decent. We have Pinpoint just for some extra speed. Relentless set is going to be very helpful on any damage dealer, and a lot of the champions, if you're not worried about outrunning your buffs, Relentless is going to be fantastic. Relentless plus 4-piece Merciless is going to be super good. So there's Geomancer, and then we have Skathix. Skathix is a champion who I very much recommend throwing in 6-piece protection at least. You could do 9-piece protection, but he's only got 2 buffs, so it may not even be worth it. But definitely 6-piece, because you want to have the block buffs and shield protected, specifically for the Chimera, or the ultimate form, as well as the Viper form. If those are protected, they're not going to get stripped, and your run's going to be much smoother and much more consistent. So 9-piece protection, same thing. We have War Master there. On Skathix, let me show the masteries on the other champions. I should have saved this run so I could have clicked them easier. But Geomancer, his masteries are right there. And then we have Rector. Her masteries are right there. So those are the presets, guys. The team setup is right there. Let me know if you have any suggestions as far as epic teams to 1-key Chimera. But this team definitely will work. It'll definitely work with 1-key and Chimera. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close to the 1-key each time. I'm not going to rerun it, though. Right? Actually, I may rerun it. I'm going to rerun it if the thumbnail is of a 1-key version. Well, it's going to be this run right here. So I'm going to let this run out. Maybe I'll jump back in towards the end to show you guys the run. But either way, thank you all very much for watching. Best of luck with Chimera. If you know of any hidden gems that you want to share, drop it down in the comment section. I would love to check them out. I like the content. I think it's pretty fun. I think it's interesting. And the more and more you learn about it, honestly, the easier it becomes. The Ram form, don't do a ton of damage, bring Leech. Be careful with your damage and your damage dealers, and make sure you have a champion with low crit damage that's not your Reviver. The Lion form, block debuffs, have some good HP, and you're going to be okay. The Viper form, protected block debuffs, a cleanser with a shield, and ideally have a full team res. If not, make sure nobody dies. And the ultimate form, sink your damage. Go full on damage for the ultimate form, and you're going to be okay. That's really all there is to it. So guys, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate you all. Best of luck, and I'll catch you in the next one.